All right. Welcome, everybody. Here we are at Insight Policing Livestream Uncut. My name is Dr. Megan Price, and I direct the Center for Applied Insight Conflict Resolution in Washington, D.C., and teach Insight Policing, which is a conflict communication skill set for officers, helping officers recognize conflict behavior and deal with it effectively so they can really figure out what's going on, what's at the root of the problem, and positioning themselves to really solve the problems and build that rapport and trust with the community. Today, we are joined, as always, by Mike Delaney and Andre Brooks. Do you want to say a word of hello?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Mike Delaney, 30 years in law enforcement in the Washington, D.C. area. I'm also a co-instructor in Insight Policing.
Good afternoon, everyone. Andre Brooks here again. Glad to be here with Megan and Mike. Also a 30-plus year law enforcement veteran in the Maryland area, and also a co-trainer with Megan in the Insight Policing. And it's great to be here.
Yeah, great to have you both, or to all be together. So today we're going to look at a video. Sometimes, we like to watch videos and take a look at what's gone on and how the officer has addressed particularly the conflict dynamics. And today we're going to watch a video where an officer does a really good job, in fact, communicating with a guy who feels like he was targeted unjustly. He's delivering newspapers in the morning, and a resident calls the police on him, thinking that he's a suspicious person. So we want to look at how the officer succeeds in this particular encounter. So we will go ahead and share that video. All right.
And 025, Boy William Boy 5872. Hey, keep your hands where we can see him. Hands on the steering wheel.
Is that what you're coming over here for?
Yeah, that's why we're coming over here, okay?
I'm suspicious, huh?
No, because he called.
I don't care what he calls for. He's following me.
Okay, we'll figure everything
out. Talk to him. I don't need you to figure out nothing. I am working.
We will figure everything.
I am working.
Okay.
I'm a black male in a white neighborhood, and I'm working.
That has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, it
okay?
does.
No.
He's following me.
Okay.
The fuck?
He's getting out of the way, okay?
Okay, he's still following me.
We will figure that out.
Yeah, get the fuck away from me. I don't care how many cops show up. He's following me. I don't give a fuck. I know he's a fucking cop. The fuck? How many cops for a fucking newspaper carrier? Oh, you guys are some badasses. I swear to God, you guys are badasses. Stop reaching for stuff, dude. I'm not reaching for shit.
Yeah, don't keep your hands on the steering wheel.
My hands haven't moved off the steering wheel.
Okay, can I explain it?
No, I don't need nothing to be explained to me. I'm being followed. Okay. He called the cops. Congratulations.
Yes.
I'm coming to and from a house. Ooh, he's committing a crime. He's black.
No one's
He's
saying
black.
Okay.
He's black.
I'm gonna explain
I'm
why
doing my
we're here.
fucking paper route.
Okay, I understand that. I see all the papers in your car.
Yeah,
okay?
congratulations.
He just called saying that someone threatened his life. That's why we're here, okay?
Yeah, I threatened his life because I walked up to him and asked him why he's following me.
You're not under arrest. You step out of the car.
I don't need to be under arrest. I don't. That's dumb.
Appreciate it.
You're gonna arrest me?
No, I'm not gonna arrest. Come sit right here. Okay?
I'm working.
Sit on the bumper.
I'm
You got anything else on you?
No, I don't got shit on me. I'm at work.
We're gonna inspect. Okay?
Oh, I got a fucking knife in my car.
That's fine. I don't care about what's in the car.
To cut my straps on my newspaper.
Okay.
Nothing.
We are
don't need
good.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing, officer. What are we here for? What are we here for? Search my car. There's fucking newspapers. This is the second time this shit happened to me.
What's your first name, sir?
Fuck Cedric, all the time.
Cedric? Okay, Cedric. Okay, we just got a call saying that
I'm in danger. Ooh, that's a fucking lie. Now what happens to him? He's lying.
That's what we're here.
He's lying.
Okay?
So what happens to him?
Was there any?
What happens to a liar?
We will figure it out.
I get 4 cops here. How many cops cars are here?
Cedric. Cedric.
For a newspaper carrier?
Cedric.
I don't want to talk. This don't make no fucking sense. I'm not under arrest, right?
You're not under arrest.
Okay, I can go, right?
No, you're not free to go either.
Why can't I go?
Because
I'm not under arrest. Who's a sergeant? Who's a sergeant around here?
On his way. Okay.
Thank you. Please,
Cedric,
I'm not under arrest, right? I'm going back to work, right?
No, you're not leaving right now, but you're not under arrest. Okay. Do you want me to put you in handcuffs?
This is dumb.
Right now,
You're gonna put me in handcuffs for what?
Cedric.
I'm talking.
Right now, I'm just talking to you man to man, trying to figure out what's going on. Okay.
It's not a man-to-man conversation. Go talk to him. The one's so in danger. He's in danger. I got weapons.
Cedric.
I got weapons.
You see how calm I
Throw
am?
a fucking newspaper out.
You see how calm I am?
I pulled into his driveway. If I pulled into your driveway, I'm obviously your carrier.
Cedric. Just talk to me for a little bit, okay?
There's nothing to talk about.
Okay.
There's nothing to talk about.
Did you guys have any verbal altercation?
He's following me.
Okay.
I walked up to his car because he came around the block again for the third time. I approached him. Why are you following me? Because I'm a black male in a white neighborhood? Oh, where are you at? I'm on the north end. Oh, you don't know where you're at? My wife is black. I don't care.
That's all we're trying to get to is what happened between you guys that made him call
I am
us.
working. I am driving a bucket and I'm in a nice neighborhood. I'm working. I'm over here every night. I see you guys every night. Nobody messes with me. But a car that sees a bucket in the neighborhood on the wrong side of the street, throwing a paper out the fucking window, he's suspicious. Oh, he pulls up to another house. He's going to steal a fucking Amazon package off that porch. Check my car. I got 15 Amazon packages in the trunk.
Cedric, I'm not saying you're stealing anything. He's not saying you're stealing anything. He just said there was an altercation. That's why we're here. Okay?
You guys can be doing so much on that. You guys said one officer. Oh, you're following a newspaper carrier.
I'm going to be 100% honest. The reason there's so many cops here is because he's the sheriff.
I'm a-
who said that he
I
got.
know who he is. I know exactly who he
Someone
is.
threatened his life. We have no clue who you are.
The sheriff he's threatened?
Okay.
He's so threatened. I knew he was a fucking cop.
So
I'm over here every night, 6
Okay.
days a week.
we're with home police. He's not our section, okay?
Thank you.
So we're totally different entities. We're just trying to figure out what's going on. That's why there's so many people here.
Okay.
Okay? Right. You're not in handcuffs. You're not in trouble.
I know I'm not in trouble. I am working.
But
I think that's all we need to watch. What do you guys think?
Well, I think that the officer did a pretty decent job considering how it could have gone and how we've seen things go downhill before. But I think the way the officer kept his voice in a manner and the way he talked to that guy kind of reassured him that, listen, I understand what's going on here, but let's find out what's going on here. Rightfully so, the guy was upset, about being stopped and followed by the other guy who called on him, the sheriff. But I think the officer did a pretty decent job by kind of calming him down enough so it wouldn't go in such a way where a physical altercation had occurred. So I think he did a really good job, and then explain it to him in a calm manner why he was stopped and pulled over, and that, listen, we're just trying to find out what's going on. So, given that situation and how those things can go, I think he really did a pretty decent job.
I mean, yeah, I agree with that, Andre. I just think that with 3 or 4 officers, and he did a great job communicating. The officer did. I mean, he did a great job of communicating, but with the 3 or 4 other officers, it was obviously agitating this guy, and the guy's out there doing his job. And I understand, look, if it's my neighborhood and I'm not sure what somebody is doing, I mean, you may want to investigate yourself before calling the police right away. I mean, he may have been able to follow him 2 or 3 stops and said, "Oh, that's the paper guy." Mm-hmm. But maybe in that situation, the other 2 or 3 officers step off. He's still agitated, so let this one person deal with him. He wasn't a threat. I mean, he's complying. He sat on the bumper like the officer asked him to do. Just talk to him and try to bring him down a little bit, because throughout the entire conversation, he remained high. Even though he was listening, he was elevated. He was upset. So I just think little things like that. And again, we're not trying to critique every little aspect of it, but we're trying to make things better and just trying to come up with solutions that make sense. Just so we can all get along and make society a better place for everybody.
Yeah. What I really liked about this was, in his approach, in the officer's initial approach, right? The guy, the driver, he was upset. He's like, what are you doing? Why are you, why are you stopping me? Blah, blah, blah. He was clearly agitated. And the officer stayed back a distance, right? And talked to him staying back and listened to what he was saying. This guy was following me and now he's calling the police on me. This feels unfair. I'm being profiled. It's because I'm Black. I'm just a paper delivery guy. Like, I'm supposed to be in this neighborhood. He was upset, of course, but the officer, and then there was a second officer who was like, put your hands on the wheel, really. But the officer who was from the perspective we saw was allowing the driver to speak and was listening to him. And there was what he could have done more paraphrasing. For those of you who have taken our class, he could have asked a few more questions, but he did paraphrase in some key points. Look, I can see you're working. I can see that you're delivering papers and that you're supposed to be here, right? So just those small things, you can tell that it let Cedric be like, thank you, okay, yes, like you're actually understanding me, so I will get out of my car. So I'll fight a little less. I'm mad about this situation. Why are there 15 cops here? Well, the guy who was following you is the sheriff, so that's why he said you were threatening him. But then everybody started to leave. And I think that's what was happening right when I cut the video. Ultimately, the video, ends with him going on his way. But just using those really simple techniques of letting somebody vent, hearing them out, paraphrasing. He could have paraphrased more, but capturing what the person's saying so that they feel heard. When you see people who are so elevated, who are angry, they just want to be heard. They just want to be understood. And when you can understand them, that's when you can start working with the information.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly with that, Megan, and Mike also with the other officers on the scene. And plus, then he feels a certain way because he probably saying to himself, okay, here's a police officer. All these guys are surrounding me. They're going to naturally take the side of the police sheriff that called on him. So, of course, he's definitely heightened. But I think, that guy's level of talking with this guy, and his calmness and his voice kind of reassured and calmed this guy down to a point where he was able to come a little bit down from how heightened he was. Still upset, like Mike said. But, I just think that, this guy did a great job of just not going above where he could have gone to have this thing turn out different. So, it was good to see that, yeah, and he could have asked, paraphrase a little bit more, having him understand. I understand you're upset about the stop, and I would be upset too. You're out here doing your job. I get it. And, we're just trying to find out. So, but I think a lot had to do with that first 30 seconds of that stop and how that officer approached him and how that officer's demeanor was and that throughout that whole entire encounter.
Yeah. And that's a good point, Drake, because that works in a lot of situations, not just in a traffic stop, an investigation. That works in, I think we mentioned this last time, that the first 30 seconds to a minute of the interaction between the officer and the citizen, it may dictate how the whole encounter goes. So you're right, going in and with an open mind and, like Megan said, listening, it goes a long way to communicating better and effectively. So those are great.
Yeah, and we all know that for cops, listening is a hard learned skill that over years you got to develop, because a lot of times you're just thinking about getting to the call or dealing with the call and dealing with it in a police way and not dealing with it in a more humanistically kind of way where you can bring yourself down to understand what that person is feeling and just have a caring attitude about that. So I think it goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
And just to point out too, the officers get the call from the sheriff saying, hey, someone is threatening me. So the officers are not on the scene at that point. So now their adrenaline is raised up as they're going to the scene. So you have all of that playing, taking effect, and all the lights and sirens converge into that area. You have emotions running high at that point. And that's, Andre, you remember calls we go for police involved shootings or robbery in progress. That elevates, your adrenaline is going now. So now you calm down, And that officer did a great job because, like Megan, you said it was another officer that was yelling out commands. Let me see your hands, or put your hands on the wheel, whatever he was saying. I think the other officer brought him down as well because you didn't hear him yell out anymore. So I think that it definitely plays a big role in communicating.
That it's what you bring up. It's really interesting, those first 30 seconds, because the first 30 seconds of the encounter, Cedric is yelling at the officer like profanities, right? And really insulting the officers. And to have the poise after being called for a threat, right? So your adrenaline's here, but to not be pulled into that conflict behavior, to those insults, not take it personally, to not, turn it into a personal threat or saying something about the officer. It's like, this guy's venting, he's mad. So let's hear what he has to say and try to get to the bottom of it rather than reacting to a perception of disrespect. Because ultimately it wasn't about the officer, right? The officer was there to help, not, yeah.
Right. And one thing that the officer could see, that they all could see, was that this guy had a back seat full of paper. So it wasn't like, they had the opportunity to have the lights and to see that this guy was actually, his story was being verified by what they could see inside the car. Mm-hmm. So, I think they kind of figured it out, that maybe this thing wasn't all of what it was said to be initially from the initial call. And that's why those other officers backed away, even after, trying to get to the point where, hey, keep your hand on the steering wheel. I never saw the guy move his hands off the steering wheel, but we know how that goes. So, great job by him,
Mm-hmm.
To get the guy where he needed to get him. And the ending, the ending of that story is the guy ends up going on his way. They end up talking to the sheriff. Nobody's charged. There's no threat verified, and he's sent on his way. So I guess nobody got injured, nobody got arrested, nobody's civil rights got violated, and that's what you want when you have these encounters and these stops, that nobody goes home injured or worse, killed.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, the guy felt his rights were violated, but no, you're right.
Yeah, I guess he did.
He also understands that he even said at one point, yeah, okay, I'm, going from house to house in the middle of the night. I get it, but still this guy doesn't have to follow me and blah, blah, blah. I'm the newspaper guy. But, I think he can see why the officers might have gotten involved. I think you could tell that there was a acknowledgement there that they were there to do their job.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, so I hope we hope you enjoyed that video and that example of, approaching an angry person, who's got high emotions, that yelling conflict behavior in a calm way, right? Not getting pulled into it to defend yourself against the insults, and really listening, right? And being sure to paraphrase, just let the person know that, you've heard what they've said, and then, ask some questions to really engage in that conversation. And then you'll really get results probably even more quickly. But this officer did an excellent job. Yeah.
Kudos to the officer there.
All right. Any last words, fellas?
No, I think he did a great job, and I'll stand by. A little rough, but he did a great job.
Yeah. All right. Well, like the video, share, and tune in next week. We'll have something else for you.